What is going on, guys? Today on the channel we're going to be taking a look at iOS 16.2 as well as iPadOS 16.2. So this is an update we've been expecting for quite some time now. A lot of betas have came out, but now we finally have the official release of iOS 16.2. So we're going to go ahead and go over everything that's new here, some bug fixes, security updates, and we'll talk a little bit about the iPad as well. Okay, so the first thing here is a thing that we were promised in iOS 16 in a future update, and well, this is finally that future update. So we now have access to the Freeform app. So you see it right there, Freeform. So you can tap on that, and basically what Freeform is kind of like a big, huge board that you can use with friends or coworkers to create something. So it's a big canvas. You can put files, images, sticky notes, drawings if you have your iPad with your Apple Pencil. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can do here, and you can make it as big as you want. You can invite people to collaborate with it and all that. So there's a sticky note, for example. You can also add all these different shapes and objects, text boxes, and all sorts of stuff. So it is a lot of stuff that you can actually do, and you can probably get pretty creative with this as well. You can also have multiple boards, as you can see right there. Now on the iPhone, of course, it's probably not going to be as good of an experience, but on the iPad is where something like that would really shine. So in 16.2, you have it here on the iPad as well. There it is. Tap on it. You can see it says welcome to Freeform. So get creative, build your board, and collaborate with others. So yeah, this is definitely probably the device you would want to use it on. It's also been brought to the Mac now as well. But yeah, that is Freeform. So kind of the possibilities, I guess, are endless with that. It'll be interesting to see how people use that application in the future. Next thing we're going to talk about here is something called Apple Music Sing. So this is something that is very interesting. I can't show it to you though because, well, don't have Apple Music. I am a Spotify user, I'm sorry. But yeah, Apple Music Sing. So this is basically a new way to sing along with your favorite tunes from Apple Music. So you can literally adjust the vocals. So there will be like a little slider, as you can see, so that adjusts the volume of the vocals. So, you know, if you want to turn them all the way down and just sing yourself, or maybe turn them close to all the way down so you can still hear the words a little bit, but you can adjust the vocals, and then it does beat by beat lyrics now. So the lyrics are lighting up, of course, but it does it to the music. So that way you can kind of sing a little bit better. So that is something very interesting. It's available on all your devices now, of course. There it is in action. So there's that slider and your lyrics are going on. So yeah, pretty interesting little feature that came out there. But if you want to do some karaoke, well, Apple Music's got you covered now. Next thing here we're talking about is something called Advanced Data Protection. So this can be found in your iCloud settings. You scroll down here to the bottom and you can see that option there. Now it says Advanced Data Protection. So you tap on this and it basically tells you that iCloud encrypts your data to keep it secure. But Advanced Data Protection will use end-to-end encryption to ensure that your iCloud data listed here can only be decrypted on your trusted devices, even protecting against a breach in the cloud. So it's a new option that lets you secure your data with end-to-end encryption, and that is pretty cool. So you can go in here, you can turn this on just like this, and I believe you have to actually, so you can turn that on, and you have to set up the account recovery, of course, because nobody's going to have the keys except for you. So you'll need an alternate recovery key. You also need to make sure that all your devices are updated to the latest version of iOS or whatever version they have. So if you have a ton of devices, that might be a little bit hard to do here, but it's just another kind of way that you can secure your information in the cloud. So that's pretty cool. And with that advanced data protection, this is going to allow more things to be released here in the future. So different things like iMessage contact key verification. So that's pretty cool. You'll be able to see if an unrecognized device has been added or something like that. So that's pretty interesting. You also have security keys, so two-factor authentication with your Apple ID, and of course the advanced iCloud data protection. So yeah, opening some more security things there for you, so that's pretty nice. A couple of new things to do here with the lock screen in iOS 16.2. So there are a couple of new widgets. So there's a brand new sleep widget right there. You can add that in. You can see your time in bed. And also there is a medications widget, which I'm not seeing unless I'm blind here. Maybe it's because I don't have that stuff set up, but there is a medications widget as well. Also, you now have the ability, if you have an always on display, to hide your wallpaper or notifications when that is enabled. Speaking of widgets though, there is some new ones for Game Center. So you can now have your continue playing, you can see all that stuff. Also, Game Center is going to allow you to have share play for multiplayer games. Another thing we were now promised in iOS 16 that is now here in this update is live activities. So live activity support is starting to roll out here, and the first one they're going to have it in is of course sports in the Apple TV app. So if you use that here and you have sports, well, you'll now be able to see those appear on your home screen, or I guess you should say your lock screen. So down here at the bottom, if you have a favorite sports team or a game you're watching, it will appear down there for you. So now have the live activity support, and also you'll be able to view those in the dynamic island if you have an iPhone 14. For the Home app here, Apple has improved the reliability and efficiency of communication between your device and other smart home devices. So that should make things a little bit more reliable and work better in your home accessory. Let's talk about a few bug fixes and other changes here. So first off, there is now the ability to search for images in the Messages app. So if you go to Messages, you go to Search, and you type in something, for example, like a car. Well, you'll actually be able to retrieve photos of cars from your message threads. So that's pretty cool. Also in Safari, if you use the private relay feature in iCloud, you'll now have a new option down here on the little AA right there. And it'll appear, I believe, right in here, and it'll actually allow you to show your IP address to the website if you desire. So there might be an instance where you need to do that. Well, now you can do that without turning off private relay. Next thing here has to do with the weather app. So in weather, you're now going to be able to see articles related to weather events. So let's say there's some severe weather going on, you want to get the latest news. Well, you'll be able to see it here in the weather app. Although I've tried several locations, and I haven't been able to find any of that populating yet, so maybe it just hasn't appeared, but oh well, I'm sure it'll come eventually. Also, something I forgot to mention in the weather app is you now have a minute-by-minute forecast. So used to it was an hour by hour, now it's minute by minute. Now if you use notes for collaborating, you'll now be able to see cursors for lifetime edits, so you'll be able to see when others are collaborating on a note whenever you are looking at the page. Also, speaking of notes, there was an issue where some notes would not sync in iCloud with other devices, and I know that I was experiencing that problem. You'd make an update on your phone, for example, and it wouldn't show up on your Mac. So I'm glad to see that is fixed. We take a look at Airdrop now. You notice there's a new option here. Instead of everyone, it now just says everyone for 10 minutes. Now I wish Apple would change that back, but that was some China stuff that was going on, I think. So, oh well. But yeah, everyone for 10 minutes instead of everyone. I always leave mine on contacts only because I don't want y'all's unwanted airdrops. And the final thing, of course, is for your 14 models. So the crash detection was kind of triggering some false alarms. like if you go on a roller coaster or maybe you take a big drop or I don't know, there was some false alarms on that. So now it's better optimized to detect an actual car crash and not just an amusement park ride. Now, as far as like iPad related things here, it's all basically the same stuff, of course. I mean, that's how it is. But one thing I did notice here, of course, we have a lot of Stage Manager changes. Now, Stage Manager is not available on this iPad. I wish it was, but I believe you can only get that. Well, you can see the ones, iPad Pros and the new M1 iPads. So you can see you now have the external display support with Stage Manager. So now you'll be able to have full display, not just mirroring a display with your iPad. You'll be able to drag and drop files and windows to that display, and you'll be able to resize apps and things like that. So that is pretty cool. And you have support for using up to 4 apps on the iPad and 4 on the external display. So yeah, Stage Manager is really nice now with that stuff, but of course I'm not able to use it because this is an older iPad. Another thing I noticed here is down here in the bug fixes and other improvements, so it says all basically the same things, except for one right here. It says tracking notifications alert you if an AirTag separated from its owner is nearby and has recently played a chime to indicate it's moving. I guess it wasn't included on the iPad before now, so now it is. And then the other thing down here is fixes an issue that may cause multi-touch gestures to become unresponsive while using the zoom accessibility feature. But yeah, those are the only 2 differences here for the iPad that I noticed, and mainly those Stage Manager improvements there. So you do have to have a newer iPad, of course, for that stuff to work, but that's to be expected. A couple other things here that they didn't really mention. If you do have a 14 model with the dynamic island, you're going to notice that the outline on that thing is going to be less noticeable. So if you have a darker wallpaper, it's going to kind of blend a little bit more in to that wallpaper. You'll still see an outline, but it won't be as noticeable as it was before. Also, if you live in India, you will now have 5G support. So if you have a 5G iPhone, you'll be able to use 5G in India now. We kind of knew that was coming in some of the betas, but now it is official. So that is now available over there. And then the other thing I noticed that was kind of neat is if you go into your accessibility features and you go down to Siri, you're going to notice down here that spoken responses, you now have the ability to prefer a silent response. So that is pretty cool. You don't have to have Siri always replying to you. You can just read what's on the screen. Another thing, of course, is security related things, and there, as usual, are a ton of them. Those are all the security updates in this update. You can find that stuff on Apple's support pages. They always list all the security things that they fixed. There's a lot of things here. We have accounts. I've never seen that before. It's pretty neat. Different frameworks, core services, kernel problems, a lot of kernel issues. But yeah, WebKit things. And these updates are mainly kind of the same throughout all their releases since everything's so intertwined together. But yeah, guys, that's basically everything here for iOS 16.2. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, and I will catch you all in the next video.